the beginning. There was, well, the beginning. Many of us are beginners when it comes to goddesses. That's perfect because throughout human history, goddesses were revered as the beginners of life. They were not arm candy for the gods. They were the main entree. Some traditions say it's taboo even to name Gaia, the mother of the universe. However, that didn't stop people from trying to depict her. Many of us, when we hear the word goddess, conjure up a stereotype that represents an impossible standard for women everywhere. A perfect example is the Botticelli Venus, or modern commercialized sisters of her. And even the rare women who actually look like Botticelli's Venus are plagued with the worry that their seashell might make their thighs look too big. I doubt many of us have heard of Baubo, the Greek goddess of laughter, bodiness, and free sexuality. She's raunchy and as apt to goose you as look at you. And can't we all use more silly in our lives? Come on! Goddess? Me? The way I look? Are you kidding? American women rarely conjure up the goddess of Willendorf, who, over the millennia, had thousands upon thousands of physical representations as the Great Mother, the ultimate in divinity. Now, she's a goddess image I can relate to. She is ageless and can represent any color, any size, anyone. She did not worry about cellulite or the size of her thighs. Figures similar to Venus of Willendorf were sent into invisibility by 19th century archaeologists who could only relate to women as objects of sexual desire. Oh no, fellas, these women were sacred and represented the divine. You mistakenly identified these icons as an ancient precursor to porn, created only for male pleasure. This presentation is merely an appetizer and not a full meal of goddesses. There are thousands upon thousands of them throughout history, with every quality a human being can have: angry, petty, shallow, dangerous, sweet, hot, bold, funny. Goddesses are not, nor were they ever, bound by rigid ideas of what it is to be a female. Whether we're exploring Asian culture with Guanyin, who some have said may be trans, or Pele, the goddess of volcanoes and revered throughout the Pacific Islands, every culture has goddesses as a part of their foundation. Sometimes they are obvious, and sometimes they are a ghost, a glimmer, or a whisper. A pivotal question to exploring goddess culture is, how do you know something is missing if it is missing? As it turns out, we've been missing many great females and their stories to our detriment. Anthropologists believe that Africa was the cradle of all people. These goddesses were not called Eve, but were called Allah, or Ani, or Anna. In many African tribes and cultures, she is the fertility goddess and mother of all things, including God. Africa, profoundly impacted over the centuries by marauding European colonizers, is literally and figuratively fertile with hundreds of female deities. They are all powerful, magnificent, and possibly the source of the snake being hated by Old Testament patriarchs who set out to destroy goddess cultures. In another equally ancient area of the Middle East, known as the Fertile Crescent, Ashtara is acknowledged as the Queen of Heaven. She who has been referred to as God's lost wife. She was well known to ancient Israelites. The colonized indigenous people of North, Central, and South America had life bursting out of their female deities. No romantic manger scenes for these goddesses. They display with pride where life begins, between their mighty thighs, and don't you forget it. North America in modern times has more than 500 nations of Native Americans just in the U.S. alone. They all included powerful images of women. Here is one, the Hopi Crow Mother. Lest you think that Europe was only about the Virgin Mary, here's Ellie, the Nordic goddess of age and wisdom, who is famous for wrestling Thor to the ground and winning. Hey Marvel, let's see Ellie in your pantheon of superheroes, shall we? Here is a representation of Artemis, goddess of children and animals. The statue was found in Ephesus, a remarkably preserved ancient city in modern-day Turkey. Please note that she has a veritable smorgasbord of breasts, giving a new meaning to the expression, "What a rack!" In one hand, she has a female lion, the other, a male. Balance. A brief survey of goddesses would never be complete without at least a glimpse of a culture rich with every kind of female representation in divine form, India and Southeast Asia. The sheer magnitude of qualities ranges from the passive, Sita, an ideal notion of feminine passivity, all the way to Kali. No one would dare say to Kali, "My, what big thighs you have!" Regardless of your own personal religious beliefs, there is balance, diversity, and strength to be drawn from embracing the world's goddesses. You don't have to believe in them to know them, and to know for every quirk, every difference, every flaw, every characteristic that makes you unique, there is a goddess in the world who's got your back, your sides, and yes, your thighs. Let this be the beginning of your hunger to see what's missing in your knowledge of your goddess heritage. Goddess, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, and to find the humor in it as quickly as possible. Balbo made me say that.